Welcome to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. This podcast was created for the boomer woman leaving corporate, and now you're looking to reinvent yourself, become an author, an entrepreneur, a podcaster. Well, each episode will leave you with clarity. You will come away with the yes, I can and yes, I will reinvent myself mindset. So come on, let's do this. I'm your host, Margot Levette. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Today, I want you to put away all distractions because it is all about you. Oh, yes. We are going to take a look at, and I want you to give yourself permission to put yourself first. And today's guest is going to help you do that. So I'm talking about Heather Chauvin, who is a leadership coach. She is a strategic parenting expert. Oh my goodness, TEDx speaker. You've seen her on the OWN network. When she is a sister podcaster. But when you listen to her shows, you think it's just about parenting. But listen a bit closer because Mom is in Control podcast has something for all of us ladies. When you take a listen to how she's presenting the information and really raking up the skeletons and shaking us up in our own backyard and making it okay to step away from overwhelm. It's okay to have an abundant life. It is okay to be intentional. So she's going to dig in a little bit deeper with us, but we're definitely going to put ourselves first where everybody wins. And that's what we need these days. So welcome, Heather. Thank you for joining me.
Margot, I'm super excited to have this conversation. Thank you.
Oh, you are such a wellspring of information. And maybe some people know where all of this information is coming from. I detect the fact that you only present information that you know. It's tried, tested, and true. So when you say that we don't have to deal with overwhelm, you know all about that. So will you take us back, for those who don't know you, will you take us back to how all of this information became real? It was a part of your life. You were dying to live.
Yeah. And I used to think overwhelm was a way of being. It was a part of life. And I know a lot of people have subscribed to that. And that just comes from, history and who we are. And obviously for different people, it's different things. But going back, the whole concept, like motherhood is what shook me up. And I've been a mom for 15 years. I have 3 boys. They're 15, 10, and 7. And I just remember looking at my son. I was 18 when I had my son. And I remember looking at him already feeling like a failure. I was a single mom and it was not, I was in high school when I found out I was pregnant, and I'm like, okay, the future is on hold. And I remember looking at him thinking, I have to be the change I want to see in his life. And I need to become the person that I most desire him to be. And so that really pushed me. And I think mixed with my my rebel personality to just persevere. But I did it from a place of the fear of never wanting my children to feel the way I felt as a child, not wanting to screw up. And so I definitely bought into that hustle mentality, the go, 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 grind, work hard, work hard. And I was getting pats on the back, from society, like, wow, you're a super mom. Look, you're doing it all. And then by the time I had my 3rd son, he was about a year old, and I was building my business. So I used to be a social worker. And I just remember being in that industry thinking, I want to make a difference. I don't feel like I'm making a difference in this capacity. And to really listen and to follow my heart and my desire, I decided to start my business. So I was a few years into my business, and I was not doing well physically, but I kept telling myself, I don't have time. I don't have time for myself. I'm a busy mom, and just telling myself all the culturally acceptable stories. And I went to the hospital one day with my husband after I was complaining about night sweats and just having all of this pain. My abdomen was swollen, and on the spot, through blood work and a CT, they told me I had cancer. And so I thought, okay, I have cancer. I'm young. Let's figure this out. And they're like, Heather, you have stage 4. You have a rapid growing cancer. You have to take care of this now. And it was from that place where almost all the work that I was doing, the books, the meditation, like all the work that I was doing, but there was this disconnect of like embodiment where I wasn't actually embodying the work. And it just came to this moment of like, now you actually have to do the work. And so I had a clean slate to start from. And I kept asking myself, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? And I had so many not this moments. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm dying. I don't want to feel exhausted anymore. I do not want to feel chronically overwhelmed. And in the online space, so many people talk about this abundant life, this, freedom, this ease. And they don't talk about, you know, the journey to getting there, or the reality of trauma that you have to go through, or that I've heard this quote, especially during this pandemic. We're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat.
Yes.
And it's just very true. There is no specific strategy or step to get somewhere. But what I've realized over the journey, especially in the last few months, is me playing small and dimming my light and buying into the victim mentality of overwhelm and guilt and shame is not going to change the world. And so as I realized, the better I felt, the better mom I was, the better business owner I was, the better, advocate I was. The world does not need more overwhelmed, exhausted women. The world needs more empowered, women that feel full of life and are willing to speak up.
And that's what you are infusing each and every woman that listens to your podcast. You are infusing women and men. I'm sure there's some men are listening also. It's life and that quality of life. I love what because I can feel your energy, your conviction, dimming your light. That is, give yourself permission to be everything that you are. Is that what I hear you say?
Yeah. And I think giving yourself permission to be everything that you are can also feel overwhelming, because so many people are like, I've never been granted the opportunity to be myself, even as a child. So it's give yourself permission to dig, give yourself permission to ask, what do I want? And then give yourself permission to have the courage to act on that. So it could be something as simple as, I want to have a bath. I don't want to respond to that text message. I want to, I just want to like get rid of social media for a little bit. I want to go for a walk. I want to feel good. I want to make a really yummy meal that took me 3 hours to prepare. Like, just ask yourself, what do you want? And have the courage to take a little bit of action to head in that direction. Because in the short term, our feelings get in the way, the ego gets in the way of I can't. But play in the long-term game. What is the impact of you showing up differently as a woman in the world? What is the impact of you standing in your power, speaking your truth, even though it's terrifying? I think that's what the world needs. And so I have to focus on the bigger picture and not just how I feel in the moment.
And the long game. That's what we're all looking at. It seems like the pandemic is really forcing us to look at the long game, because we'd all be shivering under our covers if we just looked at what's going on, if we take a look at what's going on right now, how we feel. Heather, what is it like to work with you? Because you, and I keep coming it back to, you help women feel life again. the way you decided that you were going to feel life. So what is it like to work with you, the average mom who's finally deciding, yeah, I am knee deep in this thing of overwhelm. My kids are at home. I'm trying to work. This is really too much. And now they're talking about the schools are still going to be virtual. Holy cow. What do I do? What am I going to do? Take us there. How do you help women?
So I first say we made it this far, right? So a lot of people are like, I could never do that. I'm like, but you have.
Hmm.
Somehow you did it. It may have been messy and imperfect, but somehow you did it. And when you're thinking about the future of all the possibilities, you can get stuck in that overwhelm. So the way that I help people is one, like back to basics. What is that vision? What is that ideal life? And it's not really about, oh, I'm making this much, I'm doing this. It's how you feel in that life, right? So how are you waking up? Are you waking up like, with the sun, feeling rested? Like explain that to me. So once you're very clear, and another example is, something's coming up with your children. How are you reacting? We're not manipulating our children's behavior and saying, oh, they just, I asked them to sit down for dinner. They sit down once. No, they're not listening and I'm not reacting. I'm in control of my emotions. So once you're super crystal clear on the vision that you want, you ask yourself, what are the feelings that you're after? Connection, ease, abundance, like whatever that is, energy, feeling alive. And then you're reverse engineering your life in alignment with that. And so there's things that I teach called energetic time management, where it's like a process, but you're learning how to manage the energy of what you want, not necessarily just time blocking, because I think too much we've kind of become a little bit of robotic, right? Like we're like, okay, check, 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 got it all done. But how do you want to feel in your day? And there's going to be many times that you do not feel good. And also you got to feel the crap before you get there, right? Like you have to go through the tunnel. So if you want to be able to empower people, if you want to like speak your truth, if you want to start your own business, you have to feel all the blocks and discomfort of what's been holding you back. And that is painful. That's incredibly uncomfortable to feel. But you are worthy of feeling good, meaning you can give yourself a break. You can ask for help, and you don't just have to run into that storm head on. You can just take a few inhales and exhales, a few more steps, and keep going. A lot of the women that I was working with currently and before the pandemic have told me, they don't know how they would have managed this without the tools. So even though chaos does happen and you feel out of control, you still have the opportunity to go, what do I need to get back in control? Like, what do I need to do to get back to myself? And when you begin to understand how you got removed from yourself and how you can get back, that's the essence of feeling in control. It's not about feeling good all the time, because we all have moments where we're not feeling on our game.
Wow. I'm glad you clarified that because so many people they make us feel guilty if we're not high energy all the day long. And that can lead to overwhelm and burnout also, can't it? I mean
Yeah.
that
Or
we're
what
not
am I
even
doing
supposed.
wrong? Yeah.
Yeah, and will you? I just have one final question because this conversation really runs deep, and I want people to get in contact with you so that they can uh, feel alive again. This thing of well, I keep bringing it back to overwhelm, and you've been very concrete about it. This thing of overwhelm and being stuck and fear. Can you just give us 3 steps that a person can take right now before they get in contact with you, before they listen to a podcast, because somebody may be hanging on by their fingernails. What are there 3 things that they can do right now so that they can get back in control enough to reach out to you?
Mm-hmm. So get out a pen and a paper. And I often say, pen and paper is better than writing it down like in our phones, because you're disconnected and you can really get into your thoughts. So pen and paper, and just write down what is not working. Or you could write down what I call a brain dump of all of your thoughts. So if you're overwhelmed because you have so many to-dos on your mind, write it all down and categorize it. So if there's 5 things for work, you just kind of chunk everything in little categories. But if you're sitting in this place where you're like, I'm stuck and I'm overwhelmed with possibility and I'm kind of just frozen, then start writing out what's not working. Like, what is not working? What don't you want in your life? We all know what we don't want, right? I don't want to yell. I don't want to feel like crap in my body. I want more money. I want to feel, I feel shame. I feel angry. I feel like, just write it down of what you don't want. And then ask yourself, what's the opposite of that? And just know that we can feel lighter, we can get there, but we have to go through the dark. We have to go through the dark in order to find the light. And I feel like the personal development industry does not do that well. Like you said, it's all about positive thinking. And yeah, you can have positive thoughts, but I would rather see you do forward momentum. So I'll give you a quick example. One of my socially acceptable drugs of choice is sleep. And growing up, I used sleep as a way to numb myself. And I didn't know that because I had so much anxiety growing up. I just would sleep it off and I'm like, oh, just time, please pass, like feelings go away. And this coping strategy has, been with me forever. So now when I nap, sometimes I want to nap. People will say, just take a nap if you need it. But not realizing that the reason why I'm taking the nap is because I'm resisting something. So what I do now is when I want to nap, I know that I'm probably resisting something, and I'll ask myself, what do I need to do? And it might be sending that email, it might be making that phone call, and it's going to be an uncomfortable thing. So I tell myself I can reward my good behavior with like my coping strategy. Not saying that this is like the best thing, but this is just what I do. And so I'm kind of crowding it out, and I'm not kidding, Margot, 9 out of 10 times when I decide to do that thing and then fatigue is setting in, my fatigue goes away after I do that thing.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I hope everybody heard that. Face what you're dodging, and it will leave you, rather than go back to the old traditional way of coping or reacting. Wow. I just had to break in. I'm sorry. That was too good. That's a golden nugget right there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. It's like you just have to be able to feel, but also understand. If you want to feel the good, and there is no good or bad in feelings, but if you want to feel the good, which is what everyone is after, we have to feel the uncomfortable as well. And it doesn't. Feeling discomfort and feeling pain and suffering are 2 different things. So if I'm sitting there, in pain from a thought that I have or a feeling, and I know that going for a run or a walk is going to be better to like help me release that energy from my body, I have to be able to just, not sit in that pain and decide to do the better thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that is going to go away immediately, but I'm helping it. I'm guiding it. So it's really asking yourself, what do I want? What do I need? What do I crave? And then breaking that down into little things. Like, I want a glass of water. I want to have a bath. I just want an hour to myself. And then give yourself permission to want these things. And as you slowly do that again and again and again, you come back to life. And then the things become bigger. I want to, leave my career. I want to make a big pivot. I want to, I don't know, shave my head. Like, whatever you want to do, the desires will get bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's bringing your spirit back to life.
You said so much. You have given so much. I just want to cut it off there. Bring your spirit back to life. So many people went into COVID-19 with crushed uh, compacted spirits now see the opportunity to bring your spirit to life. Thank you, Heather. Thank you so very much. Tell people how they can get in contact with you. I know Mom is in Control podcast is on all of the major, it is on all of the major platforms where people want to listen to their podcasts, but to work with you, how do they get in contact with you?
This is a mom that's in control, right? My son walks in with his underwear and grabs something. So yes, the podcast Mom is in Control is found anywhere. I'm also on Instagram at Heather Chauvin _, or you can find me on my website, Heather Chauvin, spelled CHAUVIN.com.
Okay. I'll make sure I have all this information in the show notes also. Heather, it has been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for helping the world, for breathing life back into us when times are trying to suck it out. You are giving us the ability to breathe and do it authentically. So I appreciate that greatly. So
Thank you, Margo.
another fabulous episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. As I always say, you're going to have to listen more than one time. Heather gave us how-to steps and inspiration. So I'll be back next week with a brand new episode here on Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Bye-bye and stay safe. I want to thank you for listening to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Couple of things that I want you to do right now. Go to my website, pick up a copy of Her Business, Her Voice, Her Reinvention, how I went from game show hopping to international show host, author, and speaker in 1 year. Number 2, please freely listen to each and every episode. Share them out with your family, friends, the men in your lives. And then number 3, get in contact with me, one of the experts that have been on the show, because I want to make sure that you reinvent yourself. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode here on Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation.